Oh, let me tell you something. Busting makes me feel good.
Hello, everybody. I sound like a robot to start this episode off.
Hello.
This is not good. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Blockbusting. I'm your host, Robot J Light. This is a very futuristic episode.
Yeah,
It's a futuristic movie. My guest today, Aaron Woodall.
That's
hey,
me.
Aaron. What's up,
Hi.
dude?
I'm nothing. Nothing's up. I watched The Martian.
And that's what we're talking
That's
about
what we're
today.
going to talk about.
Diving real quick in.
Sorry,
No, it's okay.
I'm fumbling it.
I like diving in.
I'm terrible at small talk in all ways. Also, am I supposed to be looking at this camera? Or,
No.
Okay.
Camera's not even there.
Okay. all
This
right.
is we're having a conversation. I'm going to look you in the eyes and listen to you talk to me about why you don't like this movie.
Oh, it's just.
What's your beef?
Well, first of all, it's what didn't it win the Golden Globe for best comedy or musical?
It did.
It did. The Martian, as you all remember, the smash hit comedy, The Martian from Ridley Scott.
It's an interesting pick for best comedy.
It's when I saw it once in theaters.
Uh-huh.
And then I rewatched it for this podcast. Like my brother was watching it, and was like texting me about it, and was reminding me of all the shit that I hated.
Uh-huh.
And then right after that, I was booking this with you, and I was then talking to my brother. I was like, what's the movie that I hate? And he was like, dude, it sounds like you hate The Martian. And so I brought that up to you. But I was like, I don't remember it well enough. Like, I couldn't like give you a full half hour of stuff that I hate about it.
Right.
And I'm not gonna rewatch it. But then I was at my friend's house, and he just had a Blu-ray of The Martian sitting out, and it felt like Providence. I was like, I'm gonna put this in. And God, it was so much funnier than I remember. Like, not in an intentional way.
Right.
Like, it was just. In the beginning, he gets wiped out by that antenna, and I was laughing. I was like, maybe this is a comedy. Maybe I was wrong about it. Maybe it's better when I view it through this lens.
Interesting. I remember that year, because I didn't see The Martian in theaters. I didn't see it. And by the way, this is the year we're specifically talking about is 2015.
Right.
What is going on with my Wikipedia right now? This is some crazy shit.
Everything pre-2016 is a lifetime ago.
It's a 2015 sci-fi film, and it felt like I didn't see it in theaters. I remember it existing. I remember winning Best Comedy and beating out The Big Short, which blew my fucking mind.
Jesus.
Because The Big Short is 100%. In my mind, The Big Short was the best movie of that year, comedy or otherwise.
Yeah.
But it also beat out... Oh, let's see. Hold on. Why can't this just load? Just load for me, my friend. Come on. It also beat out... Let's see. It beat out Joy.
Ew.
It beat out Spy, which actually was pretty decent.
Okay. That's the Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa McCarthy.
Jason Statham.
Yeah.
That one was funny. Joy is not
And it beat
funny.
out Trainwreck.
Trainwreck. I loved Trainwreck.
You did?
I laughed from beginning to end. I liked it a lot.
I feel like our movie tastes are all over the place.
Yeah,
Like
maybe.
we might be pretty opposite. Because I'll tell you what, I watched The Martian for the first time to prep for this episode, and I liked it.
You liked it?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
now I understand from like a winning the comedy Golden Globe perspective. You and I are on the same page. It shouldn't have won.
Shouldn't have won.
Absolutely should not have won.
It's a weird category to put it in, but
I mean, I can see
hearing
why-
the rest of it. I mean, like, I think it's cheating because I mean, it was like a prestigious sci-fi movie, much more of a drama than it. Like there are some comedic elements, but they put it into that category because you're gonna crush Spy and Joy
Right.
and Trainwreck.
But it's lighthearted. It's humorous. It's not a comedy. For sure. Like, you got a lot of comedy people in there. You got Donald Glover, you got Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, it's the least funny movie that Kristen Wiig's ever been in, and I like Kristen Wiig.
I do
like
too.
Donald Glover. Neither of them are used very well in that movie.
No.
They're both playing really weird parts, but
It's
that what kills me is that like the movie, well, maybe to a lesser extent the movie, but the book was like, this is so scientific.
Okay.
We're going to take a realistic look at like what would it take to survive on Mars, like realistically. Let's be realistic. And there's it's just so fucking dumb.
Yeah.
It was in all the trailers, but I had forgotten about it. And when he said it again in the second viewing, I was like, dear God. There's a part where Matt Damon says, we're going to have to science the shit out of this one. And you're like, what the fuck?
There's a lot of shit and fuck going on in this. This seems like a movie that originally was rated R. And then they were like, "Now we got to make this available for a wide audience. Let's make it PG-13." They hit their limit. They got the 2 fucks in. They threw in a lot of other ones that were censored.
The first, they have a lot of ones that are just kind of like it's an implied fuck that you think they're gonna say fuck, and then they.
It's like a softcore fuck, but that's the thing. It's like I will say I liked the movie, but it is a fucking dumb movie. This movie is clearly made for people who like the idea of science instead of people who actually like science.
These are people that watch Big Bang Theory and they're like, I think science is really cool, and they don't know anything about it. We're gonna have to science the shit out of this. Is the dumbest fucking line I've ever heard. It's so bad. It's so bad. All right, so my most biggest problem with it is that Mark Watney, the astronaut who is left on Mars, is the least likable person that I like. He's not. Well, I shouldn't say. I don't know who I'm comparing him to, but he's not. I don't like him at all. I want him to die on Mars. The whole movie, I'm rooting for this guy to die on Mars. He is just so fucking smug and so fucking annoying the whole time. And I think it's a credit to Matt Damon that he is less annoying than he is in the book. In the book, he is so much more annoying.
Really?
So much more. And he is the coworker that you would leave behind. He is the guy Mark Watney is the guy who thinks he should do comedy. He's the guy in his office who thinks he should be a comedian because he's got so many great jokes, but no one in the office actually enjoys him.
Gotcha.
He's very annoying.
He's the one who you don't invite out to trivia night if you're working in an office together.
Yeah. The whole time he's on Mars, he's like sending these messages out, recording all these things for the other NASA astronauts, and he's like
vlogging.
Lewis, your disco music, listen to someone else's music then, Mark. Shut the fuck up. Why are you just picking on my music taste? No one's forcing you to listen to my disco music. Did you not pack any music to Mars? You should have packed some music. Lewis is he'll all of his jokes are like, well, it's official. I'm gonna die if I have to listen to one more disco song.
You can tell the other scientists hate him. Lewis is even only going back to rescue him because it's her mission.
Right.
But everyone else is even in the messaging, fuck botany. It's not a real science.
Yeah. Shut up,
You're
Mark.
the worst, Mark.
Dude, when he dies, he doesn't die, but he gets knocked by that antenna and they think that he's dead. You know what he's doing? He's mansplaining Lewis's job to her when he gets hit by an antenna.
I forgot about that.
She's in charge. She's like, we're trying to get everyone off this planet because we're all about to die. And he's like, well, actually, there's another solution. He's trying to MacGyver the spaceship into standing up, and it just an antenna just knocks him out. And I was like, thank God. Everyone at that point probably internally, they didn't do it out loud, but internally we're like, God, what a relief.
Well, there's probably a lot of that going on with the whole. I don't think anybody really was that upset.
No,
that
there's
he died.
Later when they find out he's alive, she's like, "Oh my God, I left him," and they're like, "No." But no one says anything to the dude who straight up said he's dead. We're leaving him behind. Lewis was let's run some more scans. Let's be sure he's dead. And there was another dude who I think is Rob Stark, but with that, is it Rob
What's
Stark?
his name? Axel Henny, I think.
And he's just
the one guy who's not American but still sounds very, very American.
Yeah.
I will say this. The biggest problems that I have with the movie, they do a lot of the thing that it's very common in sci-fi movies, I think, especially because there's a lot of sciencey stuff that has to get explained. They have to science the shit out of it, but then they explain the thing, and then they have these scientists saying, what do you even mean? And then they say it again.
Yeah, like it's insane to me. And this is something that I hated about the book, which like maybe I'll just tangent here.
What's the book even like?
The book, well, I never read it. It might actually been better if I read it, but I
Okay.
was listening to it and it was torture.
Who did the narration for the book? Was it Matt Damon?
No, this was before the movie
Okay.
came out. But there was another comedian, and I do a lot of road work, and I'm like in the car for
Right.
hours, and I'll listen to books. And this other comic's like, you got to listen to The Martian. It's so great. It's so great. So I get The Martian, and I'm driving through like southeastern Oregon. I'm like across Oregon into Idaho.
Okay.
And it's a wasteland. It's just like Dune meets Trump country, and there's just absolutely nothing. I have
Just
no
sandworms with MAGA hats.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. I have no cell signal. I have no data. I can't do anything. All I have to listen to all day is The Martian, and I need it to keep me awake. Like I'd want to not fall asleep.
Right.
And it's just minute after minute after minute of Mark doing potato equations. Like he's like, and then we're going to carry the one over. Like he's just explaining out every single fucking potato math that he's doing. And I am like screaming, I hope you die. I hope you die on Mars. I don't want you to live. It's awful. And, it's so weird because the book, everything that happens on Mars is told through his vlogs. Like they'll cut back to Earth and there'll be some like dialogue between people and like, you know, so-and-so walk down the stairs. But Mark's stuff on Mars 100% is just him monologuing to a camera to NASA, presumably. Right. He's talking to other astronauts and he's explaining this stuff to them like they're idiots. Like no one needs this much explanation. Like they all understand math and jet propulsion because they work on
they work in the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. It's literally in the name.
But like that's why I think Mark is the most annoying coworker. He thinks he's smarter than everyone. He thinks like everything's about him. He's just like, oh, they'll definitely be so sad to know that I'm still alive. And like, no one cares. No one cares.
Mark, buddy.
No one cares, man. But there's in the movie there's less of that, but there's still like other part where like scientists are talking to each other. Mm-hmm. Like when Donald Glover, who's like playing this weird, like trying to like, you know, that kind of like Aspergy scientist type where he's like, I'm really smart, so I don't obey normal social cues and stuff.
Fuck the rules. I'm gonna wear a scarf and a beanie.
He comes in
California in the summertime. Because I'm a rebel. He shows up. That was honestly one of my least favorite opening scenes for any of the characters who get introduced in this movie is Donald Glover's, because he wakes up. They wake him up, and he's like freaking out, and is immediately like, "I need coffee to explain this thing," which doesn't make any fucking sense. Mm-hmm. And then he immediately like sits down at his computer. And he's like, "But what if?" And then the guy's like, "What if what?" And Donald Glover just shuts up. Because we know we have to wait and find this out in another scene, and we're just like, okay.
It is also the most. It's like the first thing anyone would have thought of. They frame it as if like it's this crazy idea. Mm-hmm. You're not going to believe what I have to say, and they're like, "What? What is it?" And he's in a room with the heads of NASA,
right?
Like the heads of NASA, and he's like, "I know how to save Mark Watney." And they're like, "Tell us what?" And he goes, "Okay, let's pretend you're Earth," and he like has someone standing who's like, "Now you are Mars. This is a spaceship that's going from Mars to Earth. But what if?" And you're like, What if we just turned it around and went back to Mars?
I don't know if you guys have heard of this thing, but gravity. Let me explain.
They're like, what if instead of slowing down, we sped up?
Right.
And
there's so many scenes of people being like, well, it's going to take us these many days to do it. I need you to do it in half as many days. And they keep having the number of days. Yeah. And poor Benedict Wong and his whole Jet Propulsion team are just like so sweaty. And he's like, I got to change clothes. I like shit myself having this meeting with the head of NASA because I have to get it done in 5 days. And it's going to take 50.
How long will it take you to change your clothes? Could you do that in half the time? Can you shit yourself quicker? Can you, and everything's just like, can we do it faster? But they keep pretending like they're being super realistic,
Right.
super sciencey, and it's that's what kills me. There's a part two where the head of this team, the guy in charge of rescuing Mark Watney,
Right.
is looking at pictures like on a computer with the girl of Mark Watney's movements.
Right.
And they're like, where is he going? And he says, I need a map. And you'd think that they would pull one up, that they would just click and they're like, pull up a map.
Right.
Because they are the heads of the Mark Watney rescue team. You'd think that maybe there's one on the wall next to them. No, they run to the cafeteria. They go to the NASA cafeteria where there's like pictures, like framed pictures like this, and they pull one off of the wall, and like some guy says to the head of NASA, hey man, what do you do? And they're like, shh, it's okay. And they pull out protractors and markers and they start drawing on the glass of this thing. And they're like, I know where he's going. And I'm like, you didn't have a map? You had to go to the cafeteria to get a map. You're NASA.
You're in the room that's full of computers.
You don't.
And satellite images.
Yeah, you're looking at satellite images right now, and then you went to a printed out framed satellite image and drew on that one. And I was like, these are the dumbest people. They're so stupid. They're going to have to science the shit out of it. So they're going to have to do.
They're going to have to science the shit out of it.
But then the end, it gets more and more ridiculous. In the beginning, I feel like I'm with you. I understand, like, okay, well, you're going to plant potatoes so that you can live. And this does seem somewhat realistic.
Right.
But then at some point, he's like duct taping holes in his helmet.
Yeah,
like
with
a rock
fancy space tape.
And he's just like, I'm going to put tape on this, and that's okay. The whole door is gone, and he just puts like a plastic sheet
Right.
with more duct tape. And I'm like, do you know? I remember this movie started out with a rock storm. That I don't. Okay.
Yeah, how are rocks not ripping through this plastic?
The whole time.
Also, if he's getting launched into space, remember at the very end of the movie,
Yes.
he gets launched back into the atmosphere.
In a tent.
In a tent.
They're like, what if we just sent him up in a tent? I was like, could we have done that this whole time?
What about the heat?
Right?
There's no way that protecting from the heat of the launch.
I was wondering, like, I'm not a scientist by any means. I was like, is the atmosphere so different on Mars that like you don't really need a full spaceship to go? You could just need a half a spaceship. That's all you really need.
I guess.
You're fine. But then the climax is the most ridiculous part. Of all these calculations and everything has to be this and this exact.
Right.
He pokes a hole in his glove and then uses that to jet propulsion himself through open space.
Literally like Iron Man, like he
Yeah.
says in the movie.
They like try to be funny about it, but I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. This is so dumb. It's really, really stupid. They do like, and the other astronauts too are coming up with harebrained like MacGruber space techniques,
Right.
where they're like, "What if we made a bomb on the space shuttle that you would then have to fly back to Earth? You're just blowing up
Right.
this spaceship that has to make another year-long journey to get back to Earth." And like you guys are all dead now. You're
But
all dead.
that's-
For Mark. I think the most ludicrous part of that movie is when they have the meeting of like, are we going to do the U-turn and go get Mark? And no one even thinks about it for a second. They're like, absolutely.
Right.
And I'm like, someone's got to be like, I just kind of want to go home. And
I think Jessica Chastain was that way. I think Lewis wanted to go home, and she
Yeah.
was secretly hoping that everybody else would say no, or at least one other person would say no, and then she could be like, "Well, I can't. I mean, we gotta all be together on this."
I feel so bad. Imagine turning around, adding so much time to your mission to go back and get this guy. The second you get back there, he is trying to explain your job to you again. She is like she's coordinating everyone, and everyone just listens to her and is like, okay, good plan, good plan.
Right.
And he's down there like, what if I was Iron Man? They're like, shut up, Mark.
How about we blow it up? This is the thing. This movie falls. As many problems as I have with like the length of the movie and with the fact that it really is playing to like the dumb part of our brain while also tricking us into believing that it's playing to the smart part of our brain. There are parts that I still liked about it though. Is there anything that you liked about this movie? Do you think there's any redeeming qualities?
Yes. I like that they used a body double for Matt Damon's weight loss, which is like an easy practical effect that like a lot of people don't do. They like do some CGI thing where they put the guy's face onto a different body.
Wait. That wasn't some CGI?
No, wait, they had like it's another person with a towel on their head, and he's just walking, and then like Matt Damon sits in front of the camera, takes the towel off, and it's Matt Damon again. And so like I don't like it when actors lose a ton of weight for a role, especially like for things like that. I was like, that's perfect. Just use a skinny person. Use a skinny person, and that's all you need. I like.
Wait, why don't you like when actors lose a bunch of weight or gain a bunch of weight for a role?
Just when it's just like it's like unnecessary showing off stuff. It's like you could have there was an easier way to do it. There's easier, cheaper, faster, better, but you like want to brag. It's like it's a vanity thing. You're like, look how much weight I lost for this. I was eating 1 tuna cracker a day so that I could get down to this. For movies like The Machinist, where like the whole movie is about that weight loss, I think that's okay. And it's also like there's a part of it that's incredible. But but
like, you don't
just for those 2 shots. If Matt Damon had cut down all that weight to be like, I don't know, it's
fair.
That's so I was happy with that. What did you like about it? I'm sure I'll think of some other stuff.
I mean, I really liked. There's something about. Even though the script has its moments of feeling bad and feeling just like, all right, this is unnecessary and it's overlong. There are parts when I was genuinely affected because the acting is good. Because I think Matt Damon's turning in like a great performance in this movie, and that saves a lot of the downsides.
I think he does. I wanted, there was more of this in the movie than there was in the book, and this is something I liked, where you got to see Mark Watney actually upset. In the book, he's just always sarcastic. He's like always on the video, just being like, "Hey guys, you left me here.
Please like and subscribe, right? You fucking assholes."
But like, really, you would freak the fuck out. You're alone on Mars. Like, I want to see more of your devastation and more of like, oh my God. And so I liked that first fuck, you know, when he pulls that thing out and, you know, he's in survival mode. Like, I got to get inside. I got to get this thing out. I got to blah, blah, blah. And then he finally has a moment to be like, oh, I'm stuck on Mars. And he just quietly just says, fuck.
Yeah.
And things like that I enjoyed. My favorite parts of the book were on Earth. And the movie doesn't do as much of like in the book. It really focuses on how this is a globally followed thing. Like every week there are updates on Mark Watney. The whole world is watching.
Right.
And then like as time goes on, public interest wanes, you know, and no one really cares about the guy who's on Mars anymore.
Interesting.
And like the Kristen Wiig character's out on TV every Sunday trying to, like, she needs to keep it in the public eye so they can keep funding and all, and like turn it into a good thing for NASA.
Right.
And there's like all this stuff on the PR aspect of it and how NASA spins it.
I mean, that sounds interesting.
It's very interesting.
I would love to have seen more of that in the movie. But then at that point, we have a 4-hour-long movie.
Yeah. We'll just cut out the stuff on Mars. Like I would like for the Martian to be made without the Martian. He's a guy who's out there like, we got to go get him. Because every time we go back to him, he's like, well, maritime law states that blah, blah,
yeah, I don't need any of that.
So technically, I'm a space pirate. And like, technically, you are a dumbass, and I don't care.
It's amazing that Matt Damon is a good enough actor that he can make us like such a deeply unlikable character. Because Mark Watney is not a good person, I don't think.
The same way we're worried about Joaquin Phoenix inspiring incels in Joker, I feel like Matt Damon inspired unfunny people in their office to be more unfunny.
Right.
Because they think, I can be as likable as him. And like, you can't.
You know, Mark Watney went back to NASA and started just doing like reaction videos and reviews in his car.
Well, yeah, it ends with him like the oh my God, if I had him as a teacher, like he's doing the stand-up that like the funny professor does. The funny professor who first day of class is like, Like he does these jokes every semester, like, and he's just there telling a story, and he's like, "Okay, let's get some of the questions out of the way. Yes, I did eat my own shit.
Yeah.
Okay,
We need somebody who needs to have. We need a rim shot in the middle of this scene.
I don't know what else I liked about it. I like Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels is just good though. Like in pretty much everything. Here's what I will say. I think the movie was good. You think the movie was bad. I got an idea of how we can come to some common ground. Let's figure out how we make this movie better.
Okay.
I got an idea. Do you have any ideas?
I say we should lean in and just make it a full-on comedy. Like I think it should be. Have you seen Rocket Man with
Elton John?
No.
The one with Jeff Bridges?
Damn, what's his name? I'm gonna look it up. There's a movie, Harlan Williams. Is that?
With Harlan Williams. I have not seen that, but I know what you're talking about.
He's like an unbearable, unlikable asshole that all the other astronauts hate. And he's just like, I think then they get stranded on Mars or something, and he's just like farting in his outfit, and everyone hates him. That is the movie that I would like to see. But just lean into it, man. Matt Damon
Fred
can be
Z.
very
Randall.
funny.
Yeah, Matt Damon can be funny. I would love to see a movie where Matt Damon dies midway through as the Martian, and then it becomes them having to deal with this PR nightmare.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of... This is the other thing I don't like about
that
the movie,
man.
is that it is, because I know this movie's 2.5 hours long, anytime I see... Like the first scene where Matt Damon is clearly, we have to get him stranded on Mars, right? So I know that in that first scene, he's not actually dead. He's going to come back. They're going to have to figure out all the shit. But then there's other sequences where he's like, I'm going to die here on Mars. And we know he's not going to. But I like the tension of potentially, what if he does die?
Right.
And what happens if he dies? And then what do they have to do on Earth to actually like salvage this story that they've created? Mm-hmm. Like the moment when the rocket explodes that's supposed to be sending his supplies to him.
Right.
Because guess what? Donald Glover was wrong. Donald Glover was wrong. And also they were like, we don't believe you, Donald Glover. And then he's like, well, let me tweak these. Guess what? I was right all along. I'm going to hang out in a server room and wait this out and have a cold breath. That's the best part of the movie to me. Besides like when Matt Damon finally gets rescued and hears their voices and I'm like, I feel this. This is genuinely affecting. But watching everybody everybody's so happy when the rocket launches and they're like, yes. And then when the rocket explodes on launch and everybody freaks out, that is one of the greatest scenes in the entire movie. And I loved that, and I wanted more of that feeling.
More of that drama.
I want the drama. I want a movie where you don't know if it's all going to work out. I basically figured out the whole time this movie's going to work out. They're going to figure out a way to rescue Mark Watney. I'd love to see the movie where it doesn't.
That would be cool. And I mean, especially as much as I disliked him, it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
It'd be great. I feel like when I was watching it, I thought, this is so much money and so much effort. And so just how many people are just working for years on getting this one guy back, and how much money is being spent on getting this one guy back.
Right.
I feel like, wouldn't they just leave him? Wouldn't they just go, that's part of space exploration, man. Like you make one mistake and you're dead. That's what, everyone knew.
It's literally what he says at the end of the movie.
Yeah. Everyone knows this when they sign up, and, it could just be like.
Well, you got plucky Mackenzie Davis looking at satellite images and fucking up things for the old Jeff Daniels head of NASA, old Teddy.
And I think that if I'm not misremembering it, I think that is explored more in the book. It's like the public finds out that he is alive, and so like NASA has to,
right?
Because public opinion, and then that's why it's interesting when the public opinion, like when the story goes on too long, and then no one cares if Mark Watney comes home again,
right?
Like NASA's like already working on so much and like getting on.
See, I would love that because we never get to that point in the movie. In the movie, it ramps up even further. because by the end of it, everybody's ready and watching him.
They're all watching on TV
CNN.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's like the ball dropping in Times Square. Mm-hmm. It's crazy, the hype. But we don't see that. I would love to see this. It sounds like the book is so much more complex with the way people deal with it on Earth.
I would like to have seen more Castaway. Like I would like.
Yeah.
I'm much more interested in the deterioration of someone's mind, and this is something I just didn't like about his character in either the book or film because I didn't think it was believable. Maybe that's me being cynical, but I'm like, I would be mad.
Right.
I would be depressed. I would be angry. I would lose my mind, you know? And I think that there is something cool in any of these kind of survival stories about the people who are like, all right, I'm just going to set my mind to surviving.
Right.
And I'm just task after task. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But he's alone up there for years.
Right.
And like there's a little bit at the end of those shots of him. He's got a beard and he's really emaciated. But he's still just like always super plucky, sarcastic, finger guns, you know, these cracking jokes. And the only time you get to see him upset is when it's all censored out.
Right.
They're just like, I guess he's using some foul language.
Uh-oh.
But like in real life, if you were like, when he's like, everyone's listening to you right now, please don't. That would make you be like, that doesn't compute with me because I don't give a fucking shit.
Right.
I don't care about NASA's image. I'm going to die on Mars. And so you would just unleash a tirade of filthy stuff and you would say, fuck the president. I'm going to assassinate him. Like you'd say anything you wanted to say.
Right.
And it would make a huge nightmare. And I'm like that's more of the stuff that I would be interested in seeing.
I would love to see some of that. It just doesn't feel quite tense enough. The tension is not, it's too drawn out. If the movie was shorter by like half an hour, I think it would change. If you had to deal with more of the stuff on Earth of public opinion decreasing and people not giving a shit, that would be interesting. If Mark Watney died and then they had to deal with that, that'd be interesting. You know, one of my favorite space peril movies, like I still think The Martian, even after our conversation, I still think it's good, but it's not great. And it could have been great. What do you think? Have you ever seen Gravity?
Yeah.
What do you think of Gravity?
I love Gravity.
Gravity's an amazing
Gravity's
movie.
mind-blowing. I mean, Gravity is about the visual, you know?
Right.
I mean, what do you call that light machine that they made? They like to get the light exactly right. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I've never even heard of this.
Oh, so the Gravity looks so good. Like the biggest problem with CGI is like getting the light correct, you know?
Yeah.
So they basically filmed the whole movie. They made the whole movie in CGI.
Right.
And then filmed Sandra Bullock's face. It's the last thing. And they put her in like a machine that's like, and the cameras are around her, but there's a million different lights. And it's all, they plug in, I don't know what they do. They plug in the movie. And so then all the lights behave exactly as what the computer graphic images say, like what the light would, because, you know, she's like flipping and rolling through space.
Right.
And so you have this one light source of the sun or whatever that's over here, and as you're moving, that changes, and so that it changed all around her face, and they just put her and George Clooney in these little tubes and filmed their faces.
Interesting.
You know? But like it was spectacular to watch. I saw it twice in theaters in 2D and in 3D. The 3D was amazing. It was cool, and it's just like the story of it. It's a survival story, but with a little bit of a traumatic flashback backstory that she works through, and that seemed to me like so much more scientific.
It's because you get all the science, but you don't have to deal with the mumbo jumbo scientific language of it because she's in survival mode.
Right.
You don't have to deal with him. There's no Sandra Bullock vlogging in this one.
Yeah, she doesn't have to explain everything
Right.
that she's doing to George.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to. Yeah.
It's just it's a more tense, better movie. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time every time I watched Gravity. I was
And
not
it's
on the
short,
edge
right?
of my... Yeah, Gravity's 90 minutes.
Perfect.
I was never on the edge of my seat during The Martian. The Martian, I was just like, oh, okay.
There's some
And I got up and
beautiful stuff.
walked around and did stuff.
Yeah. I think that it's pretty to look at in a lot of, most of the time. It's beautiful.
I'll agree with
that. Yeah, definitely no real suspense.
It was, it's so crazy to me. This movie got like a 91 on Rotten Tomatoes. Everybody loved it. a couple of people were like, "This is a pretty solid movie," and then it got nominated for a bunch of Oscars. It got nominated for like a whole shitload of things. Where is it? Where's it? Barack Obama said The Martian was one of the best sci-fi films he'd ever seen.
What?
It's
Mr. Obama.
Mr. Obama.
Mr. Obama.
Come on, dude. But I don't know if it actually... It doesn't look like it won any Academy Awards, which is good.
Yeah.
It's a good movie, but it's not great. It doesn't deserve to be canonized, and I think there's a reason why it hasn't been. I still remember Ridley Scott going up and accepting the best comedy Golden Globe, though. Right?
And he was just like laughing about it, like haha.
Right. Well, it's
did Matt Damon
won Best Actor?
That's
too.
what I'm thinking of. That's what I'm thinking of.
Well, it's like when Leo DiCaprio won Best Actor in a musical or comedy. I think it was the year before for Wolf of Wall Street. And he was like, all right, thanks, guys. Finally. Fucking finally. But yeah. Hey, man. This is a movie. Look, if you haven't seen The Martian, you don't have to see it. I don't think you're missing out on much if you don't see it. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's fine. I think it's good. Drew Goddard's a good screenwriter. Mm-hmm. He's got he knows how to make the fun, quippy dialogue. I can see why people really liked this movie. It's definitely not 5-star great. It's never going to be that way. Its flaws outweigh the good parts too much for it to be really great.
All their jokes, they are like... The quippy dialogue that you're referencing, I didn't like. I thought it was all very lowest common denominator. Nah, that's not the right. It's just it's all just jokes for people who aren't actually funny.
Right.
Do you know? It's
jokes. This is a movie that is for the worst person in your office.
Yeah.
This is a movie for the person who you hate in your office. And you know what? Those people need movies too.
Yeah.
Aaron. Thanks for coming and bringing this movie to my attention.
You're welcome.
I'm glad that you reached out and we can finally have you while you're here in town.
Yeah. I'm happy to be here. I want to do. Normally, I don't like tearing down movies. That's why I tried to pick.
Nobody does.
I tried to pick. I was like, I want to do one where I defend a movie. You know, I'd rather take the opposite position and convince people that a movie they think sucks is actually great. But then I found The Martian, and I was like, no, I do hate this one. This is good.
Yeah, Martian's a bit of an emperor has no clothes situation. It's definitely, it is what it is. It sure is a movie.
Yeah.
Where can the listeners find you on the internet if they want to disagree with you or agree with you?
Well, I don't talk about too much in movies, but I've got a podcast with another comedian named Jessa Reed.
Oh, yeah.
And it's called Mormon and the Meth-head.
Love Jessa.
Yeah,
and you two are fucking fun dynamic.
We're very fun. So that's dynamic. Good. Mormon and the Meth-head is almost like a documentary. It's just following mine and Jessa's life as we become better versions of ourselves. But I'm an ex-Mormon, she's an ex-meth addict, and there are a lot of similarities between leaving those two things. Mm-hmm. And we made a podcast about it. Now it's evolved into something else, but it's funny. It's but it's gonna make you cry a lot. We a lot of childhood trauma and stuff we talk about now. But I think everyone should listen to it. It's great.
Give it a listen.
Podcast. You can look for Aaron Woodall on Twitter. I'm Aaron Woodall 14.
You couldn't get your regular name. Somebody else took it first.
Yeah, man. He's at Aaron Woodall is when did I get on Twitter? 2012 or something. Back then, it was an abandoned account, and it's still he's only ever tweeted 6 things. And I'm like, when do I just get to take his handle? Also, I need some help coming up with creative handles in general.
Yeah?
When I see everyone else on Twitter, I'm like, how does everyone come up with something so cute and funny? And I've got nothing. I'm just like, Aaron, that's my name, Aaron Woodall.
I mean, you can just keep your name though.
Yeah.
I think people prefer that.
Do they?
Yeah.
I love everyone that's got a funny little...
I only have mine, and I've tried to change mine to my name because mine's at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram, folks. But I tried to have J Light, and somebody always has it because there's if there's more Jay Lights than I would like to believe there are in this world. There's like this is the most infuriating one. So on YouTube, there's someone else named Jay Light who has a channel that's called Jay Light, and they only do videos of them singing sad songs in their car, like sad rap songs. Like their first video is called I wrote a rap about depression, and it's just some like emaciated white kid like rapping in the passenger seat of a car, and it's got like 2,000 views, and he has several thousand subscribers, and I'm like, why is this guy showing up more? Who is this Jay Light imposter? How dare you?
Yeah, I want to be the most famous person with my name. Like, so, I don't know why. Even like I remember in college we had a stand-up comedy club, and they brought someone else in who was also named Aaron, and I was like so offended. I was very mean to him just because I was like, we already have an Aaron, and I don't know why you're here. And Andy Woodall.
Yep.
I dislike just because his name is too similar to mine.
It's so similar.
And I'm like, one day I got to be more famous and successful than Andy so that people can talk to him about my name instead of like I'll go to a comedy club like I think it's like I was in Spokane or something, the Spokane Comedy Club, and then people like everyone there is like, do you know Andy Woodall? We thought you were Andy Woodall, but you're Aaron Woodall. And I was like, I'll kill you, Andy. And then I've worked with Andy, and he's just like super nice and sweet, and he's just like, I'm a really good stepdad. I'm like, fuck you, Andy. I'm gonna bury you.
I feel like you could probably take Andy Woodall in a fight, though.
Of course,
yeah,
of course.
Look at you.
I'm a formidable opponent,
right?
You know? I don't want to fight like jacked up Dave Chappelle or Joe Rogan, but I feel like 98% of comedians I could beat in a fight.
Yeah, I mean that's not a bad position to be in. It's nice I do like seeing a tall comedian every once in a while.
Oh, dude, I was just on the show with Lachlan Patterson last night. My favorite thing about tall comics is when they just pick up the entire mic stand.
Yeah.
And Lachlan does it. He just holds it up like that. It's just a great way to assert dominance over an entire theater.
You and Lachlan.
Look how easy this is for me.
What other fucking alpha males were on this comedy show besides you and Lachlan? Just like tall, handsome men ready to make everybody just like, maybe I should go back to high school. I don't want to sit next to them in the lunchroom, but maybe I do. They're so cool.
Lachlan wouldn't have liked me in high school. I've just grown into this now. Like now, but Lachlan seems like he was always beautiful and cool.
Oh, Lachlan. You guys, hey, listen to Mormon and the Meth-head.
Do it.
Follow Aaron on his social medias. You can find me, I already said it, at Diet J, Twitter and Instagram, jlightcomedy.com for show dates. And that's about it. Subscribe, tell a friend if you like the show, and join the Facebook groups at the top of the show notes. That's about it. Hey, thanks for again.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change. Oh, sorry. Stepped on your foot.